The fluorescent lights hummed in the empty corridors of Morrison. Technologies as Maria Rodriguez pushed her cleaning cart past rows of silent cubicles. It was 11:47 p.m., and while the rest of Seattle slept, she worked, just as she had every night for the past 8 months. Her hands, rough and calloused from years of labor, moved methodically across surfaces that gleamed under her care, though no one would ever notice. She was invisible here, a ghost who erased the traces of other people's days while her own daughter slept alone in their one-bedroom apartment across town. Maria had long ago made peace with invisibility, but tonight everything would change. Tonight a simple letter, written in a child's crooked handwriting, would shatter the walls between two worlds that were never meant to collide. Maria's story didn't begin in the gleaming towers of downtown Seattle. It began in a small town in New Mexico, where she'd once dreamed of becoming a teacher. Life, however, had other plans. At 19, she fell in love. At 20, she became a mother. At 22, she became a widow when her husband died in a construction accident, leaving her with a 3-year-old daughter and a mountain of medical bills that would take years to climb. She moved to Seattle, chasing the promise of better opportunities, better schools, a better future for her daughter, Emma. What she found instead was the harsh reality that dreams required credentials she couldn't afford in time she didn't have. The cleaning job at Morrison. Technologies paid $12 an hour, barely enough to cover rent, food, and the after-school program that kept Emma safe while Maria worked 2 jobs. Her morning shift at a diner ended at 2 p.m. She'd rush home, spend 3 precious hours with Emma helping with homework and making dinner, then head to Morrison Technologies for the night shift that ran until 6 a.m. Sleep came in stolen fragments. Happiness came in Emma's smile. On this particular November evening, Emma had been unusually quiet during their dinner of rice and beans. At 9 years old, she was perceptive beyond her years, shaped by circumstances that forced her to grow up faster than any child should. She watched her mother with those dark, intelligent eyes that saw too much, understood too much. "Mama," Emma had said softly, "tomorrow is career day at school. Mrs. Patterson wants us to talk about what we want to be when we grow up." Maria's heart had clenched. She knew what was coming. "What are you going to say, mi amor?" Emma had looked down at her plate. "I'm going to say I want to be a lawyer, so I can help people like you, Mama. People who work hard but don't have anyone to fight for them." Maria had pulled her daughter close, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo, fighting back tears. How had she raised someone so beautiful, so full of empathy in a world that had shown them so little mercy? That night, as Maria prepared to leave for work, Emma had hugged her longer than usual. "I love you, Mama. You're the strongest person I know." Now, pushing her cart through the executive floor of Morrison Technologies, Maria thought about those words. Strong? Was she strong? Or was she simply surviving? Was there even a difference anymore? The CEO's office loomed at the end of the hallway, its glass walls revealing a space larger than her entire apartment. James Morrison III, the 38-year-old tech billionaire, was rarely there. He spent most of his time in the Silicon Valley headquarters, only visiting the Seattle office once a month. Maria knew his schedule better than he. Probably did. She'd seen it printed out on his assistant's desk enough times. She unlocked the door and stepped inside, immediately struck, as always, by the contrast between this world and hers. Original artwork hung on the walls. The desk was solid mahogany, not particle board. The leather chair probably cost more than she made in 3 months. Maria cleaned methodically, starting with the bookshelves lined with awards and photos of Morrison with celebrities, politicians, tech leaders. She dusted around them carefully, aware that everything in this room cost more than she could ever replace. She was wiping down the desk when she noticed something that made her freeze. A piece of paper, folded carefully, sat on the center of the otherwise pristine desk. Her name was written on it in Emma's distinctive handwriting. For Mr. Morrison, from Emma Rodriguez. Maria's hands trembled as she reached for it. Emma must have slipped it into her cleaning supplies bag before she left for work. With shaking fingers, she unfolded the letter and began to read. "Dear Mr. Morrison, my name is Emma Rodriguez and I am 9 years old. You don't know me, but I know about you because my mom cleans your office. She tells me you are a very important man who built a company that helps people. I am writing to you because tomorrow is career day at my school and I want to tell everyone about my hero. But my hero isn't you or a famous person. My hero is my mom. My mom works at your building every night from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. Then she goes to another job at a diner. She only sleeps 4 hours a day. She never buys anything for herself. Last winter, she wore shoes with holes in them for 3 months because she was saving money for my birthday present. She got me a used laptop so I could do my homework better. My mom is the smartest person I know, even though she never got to go to college. She helps me with my math homework even when she's so tired her hands shake. She makes me practice reading every day because she says education is the only thing no one can take away from me. I know my mom is invisible to most people. People don't look at janitors. People don't say thank you to the person who cleans their office. But my mom keeps everything clean and beautiful at your company, even though nobody notices. I'm writing to you because I think someone should know. I think someone important should know that my mom is important too. She might just be a janitor to everyone else, but she is everything to me. I hope this letter doesn't get her in trouble. She doesn't know I'm writing this. I just wanted someone to see her. Thank you for reading this. Emma Rodriguez. P.S. My mom says you donate money to charity. That's nice, but the best charity is paying people enough so they don't have to work until they can't stand up anymore. I looked it up, and janitors in Seattle should make $18 an hour, not $12, just so you know. Maria read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down her face, smudging the mascara she'd applied that morning for her diner shift. Pride, embarrassment, fear, and love warred in her chest. What had Emma done? This could get her fired. Executives didn't want to know about the struggles of their cleaning staff. They didn't want reminders that real people with real problems existed in the shadows of their success. She should throw the letter away, pretend it never happened. But even as the thought crossed her mind, Maria knew she couldn't erase her daughter's words. Emma had found her voice, had spoken truth to power in the most innocent, devastating way possible. Maria carefully folded the letter and placed it back on the desk, exactly where she'd found it. She finished cleaning through a blur of tears and left the office, her heart hammering against her ribs. Whatever happened next was out of her hands now. 3 days passed. Maria moved through her routine in a state of anxious dread, expecting every moment to be called into the supervisor's office and terminated. But the call never came. Life continued in its exhausting rhythm. The diner, Emma Morrison Technologies, sleep, repeat. On Friday night, as Maria approached the executive floor, she noticed something different. Lights were on in James Morrison's office. Her heart sank. He was here in Seattle when he wasn't supposed to be. She considered skipping his office entirely, but that would look suspicious. Taking a deep breath, she knocked softly on the glass door. "Come in," a voice called. James Morrison sat behind his desk, Emma's letter spread out in front of him. He was younger than he appeared in photos, with tired eyes that suggested he understood exhaustion, even if his version looked different from hers. "Mrs. Rodriguez," he said, standing. "Please sit down." "I can come back later to clean," Maria said quickly, her accent thickening with nervousness. "No, please sit. I've been waiting to talk to you." When she hesitated, he added more gently, "You're not in trouble. I promise." Maria perched on the edge of the chair, her spine rigid. Morrison picked up Emma's letter. "Your daughter wrote this. I've read it about 100 times since Monday." His voice was thick with emotion. "Mrs. Rodriguez, Maria, may I call you Maria?" She nodded, unable to speak. "I built this company from nothing. Started in my garage, worked 90-hour weeks, sacrificed everything for success. And somewhere along the way, I forgot what sacrifice really looks like. I forgot that the people who keep this company running aren't just the engineers and executives. I forgot to see people like you." He stood and walked to the window, looking out over the city lights. Emma's letter, it destroyed me. That postscript about wages? She's 9 years old and she looked up fair wages for janitors. She shamed me with facts and honesty. He turned back to face her. "She's right. You're right. This company can afford to do better. We should have been doing better all along." Maria's hands clenched in her lap. "Mr. Morrison, I appreciate your kind words, but I need this job." "I can't afford to." "You're getting a raise," he interrupted. $22 an hour, retroactive to your start date. And I'm implementing new wage standards across all Morrison Technologies locations. No one who works for this company, in any capacity, will make less than $20 an hour. That's just the start. Maria stared at him, certain she'd misheard. I don't understand. Morrison returned to his desk and pulled out a folder. I've spent the last 3 days reviewing every contract worker, every janitor, every security guard in this building. I've looked at their wages, their hours, their lack of benefits. Emma was right. I run charities that help people halfway around the world, but I've been blind to the people right here who make my daily work possible. He slid papers across the desk. This is an offer of direct employment with full benefits, health insurance, dental, vision, paid time off, and access to our education assistance program. We'll cover tuition if you want to finish your degree, any degree you choose. Maria's vision blurred. Why? Why would you do this? Because a 9-year-old girl had the courage to tell me the truth that everyone else was too afraid to say. Because your daughter sees you as a hero and she's right. Because I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. And what's the point of any of it if the people who work for me can't afford to fix their shoes? His voice broke slightly. I lost my mother when I was young. She worked 3 jobs to keep me fed. I built this empire partly in her memory to honor her sacrifice. But somewhere I lost sight of what I was supposed to be honoring. Your daughter reminded me. Maria wiped her eyes, overwhelmed. This is too much. I don't deserve... You deserve so much more than this, Morrison said firmly. And Emma deserves a mother who doesn't have to choose between sleep and survival. Will you accept? The word came out as a whisper. Yes. Morrison smiled, a genuine expression that transformed his face. Good, there's one more thing. I'd like to meet Emma, if that's all right with you. I think she has the makings of an extraordinary lawyer, or CEO, or whatever she wants to be, and I'd like to establish a scholarship fund in her name for children of service workers, the Emma Rodriguez Scholarship for kids who see the invisible and speak truth to power. 2 weeks later, Maria stood in her new apartment, a 2-bedroom in a safe neighborhood with good schools, affordable now with her new salary and benefits. Emma had her own room for the first time in her life. The walls were still bare, and the furniture was modest, but it was theirs without the constant fear of eviction hanging overhead. Emma sat at the kitchen table working on homework, the used laptop joined now by new school supplies. She looked up as Maria entered with tea. Mama, did I do something bad by writing that letter? Maria sat down beside her daughter and took her small hands in her rough, worn ones. No, mi amor. You did something incredibly brave. You used your voice to speak truth. And you changed not just our lives, but the lives of hundreds of other families. You reminded a powerful man that every person matters. That's not bad. That's extraordinary. Mrs. Patterson says Mr. Morrison is coming to our school next month to talk about the new scholarship. Emma said, her eyes wide. Is that because of my letter? Yes, baby. That's all because of you. Emma was quiet for a moment, processing. Then she said, I'm still going to say you're my hero for career day. Maria pulled her daughter close, breathing in that strawberry shampoo scent, feeling the weight of exhaustion that had burdened her for years finally begin to lift. Not completely. Life was still hard, would always require work and sacrifice. But now there was breathing room. Now there was hope. And you're mine, Maria whispered. You're my hero too. Outside the window, Seattle sparkled with a million lights, each one representing a story, a struggle, a dream deferred or realized. In one small apartment, a single mother and her daughter sat together at a second-hand table, their future suddenly brighter than either had dared to imagine, all because a child had the courage to write a letter, all because one man had the humility to listen, all because sometimes the distance between invisible and invaluable is just a few honest words and an open heart. The letter still sat on James Morrison's desk, no longer hidden but displayed in a simple frame. A reminder that the most important messages don't come from boardrooms or business reports. They come from the hearts of children who see clearly what adults choose to ignore. That every person matters, every job has dignity, and the truest measure of success is not what you build, but who you see along the way.